This time on Heavy Pedal Garage, I'm going to show you how you can put a dent like this in your panel that you're about to do final block sanding on. It's awesome. I always set little goals for myself. You know, there's little goals, there's medium-sized goals, and obviously the large goal of getting the car finished and back on the road. But my little goal for now is to get the door and the bumper and the fenders block sanded, and that way I can get the car back over here to this garage and reassemble everything. And then once it's all reassembled, I'll have the blocking to do on the shell of the car, and the trunk lid will actually get blocked once it's back on there as well. And all of that together with that final blocking should get me really close to paint. My goal here is to not have to spray that sealer coat to close everything up and get that uniform color prior to base. I don't want to have to spray that right before I do the base. So I want to be able to put that on these panels, put that sealer coat on the shell, and then do a light final blocking on that sealer coat with the intention of not breaking through to retain that uniform color without having any of those shiners or bleed throughs under the base. So when I am doing that final blocking, in my mind what I'm going to do is just spritz some primer over top of those shiners and then just do a light scuff and kind of keep it that way. The alternative, if you are going to spray the sealer right before you do the base coat, there's some masking tips that you need to do to be able to keep those transition lines from showing up in your final coating. You can do like a double mask to where you spray the sealer and then peel off a layer of masking tape, and the layer underneath is just a little bit further back so that you kind of transition into the base coat. And I don't want to do all of that. So we'll see if this works. So that's my short-term goal, is to get this blocked down so that I can put the pieces back on the car, get the shell of the car blocked. My medium goal is going to be to get it all together to where I can do that final blocking, and then part of that medium goal is to get the paint on the car. So we'll see how it goes. Thanks for sticking around to check this out. Hit the like button, you know that helps a lot. Little garage, big intentions, knocking it out. Okay, so now we got them all cleaned off. Don't want to be sanding in any impurities that have gathered on this surface. And now what we're going to do is start with the longest block that I have, since this is such a long, flattish surface. And what I have on here is 320. We're going to see how that goes, and hopefully it'll cut it down. I don't have a whole lot of texture in my panel here, so I'm hoping this will be good enough. So what we're going to do is we're going to start with our X pattern. We're going to go back and forth, and we're just going to switch it up, and we're going to try to cover the whole panel and roll with it as we go. And one thing I don't want to do is roll over the body line. We're going to clean that up in a little bit and make sure that it's exactly the way that I want it. I want to say crisp, but on a Firebird these actually get rolled over a little bit, so we'll work those over. But when I come up to that body line, what I want to do is just skate the block right up and kind of hover over that body line. So you're not rolling it over the body line, you're just staying with the contour of the panel below the body line. Yeah, looks like this 320 is cutting in pretty nice, which makes me happy, because I did not want to have to jump down in a grit to like 220 and take off more primer than I want. You know, the rougher the grit, the more material you're going to take off, the deeper your scratches, the more likely it is that you might have to reprime. Let me show you this. You see right here where it starts to, I don't know if you can see that, but it's a swath of sanding about like that. That means my paper is getting a little bit gummed up. So just got some dust on it, and I'll just use this to brush it off. Okay, so I got this where I want it. Feels pretty good. So now I'm just going to take my block and get rid of the last of that shininess and roll it over. That way it's kind of a less sharp body line. And there you go. I sprayed a little bit of wax and grease remover on there so you could see the body line. But I think that'll be alright. There's a little bit of wonkiness along here, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do with any of these. I just got a few shiners. What do you think? You think those will come through? Or should I spray a little bit of sealer on these? There's a shiner. A little bit of a shiner there. I don't know. Let me know what you think. Should I reseal or reprime, this whole thing and block it again? Or would I be okay to just take some primer and spray it on some of these bare spots right here where I've got a little bit of a low, and then just block those areas down? I'm kind of leaning towards just trying to spray a little bit of primer on there and hit it with the block and see how it does. Ultimately, I would like to not have to seal this whole car before I paint. I just don't want to deal with the edge lines of sealer and then followed by paint clear. I'd like to just mask off my jams and put paint on. So we'll see how that goes, but keep on going. I'm going to clean up these corners and then it'll be time to do it all over again. So in order to get these doors done, I had to flip them over because they were set up previously to be able to spray the jam. So in flipping them over, boom, that's when I did the stupid move. I tried to do it by myself and used the funky method on this one door and totally screwed it up and put that dent in there. Not a big deal. Found it when I was blocking. I tried to get up inside the door shell and push that dent up. I did get it up a little bit, but I don't want to mess with it anymore because this door, the bottom of it, I think is going to need a little more than just a sealer coat. I'm going to go ahead and reprime that and block that down anyways because of all these little imperfections. So a little bit of filler on there, dab it on some of these other spots, but the rest of the door here looks pretty good. And this door turned out pretty good. I think just a thicker sealer coat on that and then a sort of a final blocking. Hopefully I don't break through. Should be good to go. But don't do stupid stuff. And if you do, you just got to learn from your mistakes and try to fix it up. We got to do the fenders, get those blocked down, and the bumper, front and back, get those blocked down, and then the trunk lid is actually going to go back on the car before I block it down. The car is currently at another location close by. Undisclosed, secret James Bond stuff. No, just kidding. Needed to have some room in the garage here so I could get all of this stuff worked over. But let's get going. Okay, fender number 1 done. Just got a couple breakthroughs, one right there, and there's really not a whole lot going on with this thing. One right there, just a little bit of filler peeping, but I'm pretty pleased with that. Little breakthrough right there, no big deal. So this one, I don't think it's going to get full sealer coat. We'll just touch up some of those little spots, and then we'll hit it again with guide coat and 400 and see where that gets us. But now I just got to replicate that on the next fender. So far so good on this one. Top's busting down really nice, no shiners. This is the one that was the worst fender and needed the most work. This is the one where I actually grafted in the Trans Am air extractor to a regular Firebird fender that didn't have that. And this bottom patch was pretty good as well. So let's see if this comes out. It's a little scratch. I can barely feel this. This one's a little deeper right here. Hopefully those block out and we don't have any other issues. So I'll bring you back when we're all done and show you where we ended up. Making headway. So I did get started on the bumper. Quick show on that one. Not too bad, but we're going to have a few little spots that I want to clean up. But I still need to do this side. I was going to wait, flip this around. And then we're going to do that bumper. And I forgot, I've got the valence and the trunk filler piece there that I might do. Before I start doing filler work, I just wanted to kind of check all these pieces. That way I can break the filler out and work these all over at one time before I start spritzing some primer. So I'm going to get that bumper flipped over, around I mean, and we'll get that going. Try to get both of those busted down. So we're all blocked down with 320 grit. I've got everything wiped off and blown off. The next thing I need to do is go over every single panel with a fine-tooth comb. I'm going to look for any little pinhole, any little imperfection that didn't get blocked out and that won't get blocked out when I go to 400 next. So I am going to do 400 and then scuff it with the gray Scotch-Brite before I paint. So anything that needs to have a little bit of filler in, I'm going to find that now and we'll go ahead and get it all tuned up and filled in before we go to the primer here. Alright, so there's the door, about the same. Got it all taped off. I tell you what, I'm terrible at wrapping Christmas presents, but I can wrap me some car parts. You better believe that. So I think after I blocked it all down and got everything smoothed out, I really do believe this is going to be the last coat of primer. I'm going to go ahead and shoot my thin down epoxy on all these parts after I wax and grease remover and get the final wipe on them. And I'm hoping that after that I just need to bust it down with, 400, maybe I'll do some 600. Definitely gonna follow with some gray Scotch-Brite to make sure they're ready to paint. But let's get some primer on these and see where we're at. Okay, I got this thinned down with my acetone to where the consistency is like skim milk, maybe slightly thinner than skim milk. That's how I like to shoot it as a sealer. If you guys think I should be doing something different, please let me know. But that's how we're going to do it. We're going to shoot it on there. I'm going to start by putting my first coat just on my shiners and over that bodywork. That way we get a nice base coat over top of those problem areas first before I blend it in with a full coat. So let's get that going.